And here's the cold hard truth about Alabama. As where it stands right now, this is an average football team with supreme talent. That's it. And it's sad because they're not reaching their potential because they got too big of egos, they're too cocky, and they think they're rock stars, but in reality, people are pointing and laughing at them. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you had a great start to your week. Hope all of you had a great Monday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, it's time. We got to talk about Alabama football. We're not going to do no intro, none of that. We're getting straight into it. I don't got time to waste, and you got time to waste either. It's the talk of the town. It's the talk of college football. College football fans have quite literally been waiting on this day for the past 16, 17, 18 years. What day am I referring to? That is the day that Alabama football officially falls off. Has the Alabama football program itself officially fallen off? For me, myself, I'd like to see how they finish the remainder of the season before I answer that question. I know it seems like a long shot, but I'm going to remind some of you, this isn't a 14 playoff or even an 18 playoff. It's a 12-team playoff, and Alabama still has right at a 45% chance of making it if they run the table. Alabama loses one more game, they're done, but there's still that slight possibility that they can turn this shipwreck around, win out, and sneak into the playoff, and who knows what will happen from there. As where it stands right now, do I think Alabama will make the playoff? Heck to the no. Have you seen this team? They look pathetic. That's me telling you the cold hard truth, and I may get a little passion in this video. I don't want to scream, I don't want to yell, but it might happen. This Alabama football team, what you've seen 7 games through a year, is easily the most undisciplined Bama football team I've seen in a long time. I thought the past couple of years Alabama was undisciplined, but nah, this year it takes the cake. And I've seen some people say this is the reason why Nick Saban left, and I'm starting to believe those people. Before we go any farther, before I go on a rant and tangent, let me give you a cold hard fact so you don't just think I'm giving you my opinion. Alabama ranks 130 out of 134 FBS teams in penalties a game, averaging 8.9. I'm going to say that number again. Alabama is averaging 8.9 penalties per game. They're almost dead last in the entire country. Pathetic and embarrassing. And I can get having one bad game where you have 10 penalties, but we're dang near averaging 10 penalties per game. If that right there doesn't prove to you this is an undisciplined football team, I don't know what will. I'm not going to sit up here and say they don't play hard, because they do. They're giving it everything they got, and I respect that, and I'm grateful for that. But I remember vividly one of my high school coaches telling me this in the locker room. We were down by 10 points. He told us, guys, we're playing hard. You're giving it everything you got. But we can't just play hard. You got to play hard and smart. Same thing here. Our guys are playing hard. Heck, we had Keon Sabb, much love and respect to him. He was playing against Tennessee on a broken ankle. He shouldn't even been out there. But good googly moogly, do we make some of the most blasphemous mistakes and decisions that I've ever seen. And you can't even sit up here and say, well, Matt Neyland's a hostile environment. It wasn't just at Neyland. It's been all year long, even at home. And you can sit up here and debate whether or not you think it's on the players, whether you think it's on the coaches. It doesn't matter. You know who it is on, and it's a guaranteed fact? Alabama. The players and coaches, last time I checked, are representing the same program and team. I mean, they are a collective unit. We made a video on the channel Friday, and I titled that, If Alabama Loses to Tennessee. And in that video, we just talked about what's going to happen in Tuscaloosa if Alabama loses to Tennessee. I stated in that video word for word, if Bama loses to Tennessee, things in T-Town are going to get rocky. To say they've gotten rocky these past 24, 48 hours might be understating it. It's his first year, by the way, and you already have people calling for Kalen DeBoer's job. This is the same guy who beat Georgia. To go on top of that, more people are actually calling for Jalen Milroe's job as the starting quarterback. And it's gotten so bad that former Alabama alumni and players are having to come out and speak about it. For example, Reggie Ragland tweeted this out. Man, I ain't gonna lie, Bama fans, I get it we lost, but y'all tripping talking about fire the man. This is first year. Chill out. Everything is new. It's gonna be okay. Great words from Reggie. Shout out to him, by the way. Shout out to 256. But the fact he even had to tweet that out, it should go to show you how much this has escalated. I reside in Northern Alabama, so number one, I know how big this Tennessee-Bama game is. And number two, I've been around all these Bama fans since the Tennessee loss. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've seen it online, I've seen it in person, people have told me in person, it's not just a couple of people that want Kalen DeBoer fired. There's a good majority of the fan base that want him gone, which to me is just straight up bonkers and craziness. But what's even bigger than that is a lot of people, and I mean a lot, way more than the people who want Kalen DeBoer gone, want Jalen Milroe gone as the starting quarterback. And it goes back to something I've always said. Winning solves everything. If you think otherwise, look what's happening here. I'll give you an example. If your quarterback has 0 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions and you win the football game, nobody's going to care. Why? Because you won. They're going to overlook it. And that's not some random example I'm throwing out there. That's what Carson Beck did against Texas. Zero touchdowns and had 3 INTs. And guess what? Nobody's calling for his job. Why? Because they won the game. If Georgia loses that game because Carson Beck has 3 INTs, I think there'd be some conversations going on in Athens, Georgia. Same thing with Jalen Milroe. If Bama sneaks out that game against Tennessee, although Milroe had 2 interceptions, one of those being in the end zone, you wouldn't hear many Bama fans talking about they want him benched. It's just because they lost. Like I said, winning solves everything. But when you start losing, that's when people start to point fingers. And you want to know what's really going on, and Alabama fans aren't ready for this conversation? They're entering panic mode. That's what this is. It's kind of sad, but it's true. Alabama only has 2 losses, and the whole program, university, fans, everybody associated with them, they're freaking out. I'm not going to act like I don't understand it because I do. This is the lowest Alabama has been ranked since 2010. Guys, that was 15 years ago. And I don't know how deep into detail I want to get with this, but one of the problems Alabama currently has is Kalen DeBoer is a player's coach. I've played for a couple players' coaches myself, and I happen to like them. I like the hard-nosed guys. I like players' coaches. There's stuff to like about both of them. There's stuff not to like about both of them. Unfortunately, sometimes when you have a player's coach, your own players will treat that coach like a buddy, like a friend, like a teammate, and occasionally they'll walk all over them. They'll think, oh, yeah, well, he's cool with it. You know, I ain't got to be too serious all the time, and that equates to undisciplined football. I've said the past couple weeks, I'm going to continue to say it. These Alabama players do not fear Kalen DeBoer, and that is a big problem. But here's the even bigger problem. For, I'd say, 80% of this Alabama football team, it's not life or death. For the other 20%, guys like Keon Sabb, Malachi Moore, Q Rousseau, it is life or death. But that's the issue. It's only 20% of the team. Whereas comparing it to 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 Alabama, it was life or death for 99% of those players. This was all they had. The game meant everything to them. But now it's like, oh, yeah, is my check going to clear on Monday? What kind of car are you going to give me? How much NIL money am I going to get? And are we going to film a podcast after the game? There's just so many other things they're focused on. Whereas back in the day, I say back in the day like it was years ago, but it was only like 10 years ago, you just focus on the football game. And here's the cold hard truth about Alabama. As where it stands right now, this is an average football team with supreme talent. That's it. And it's sad because they're not reaching their potential because they got too big of egos, they're too cocky, and they think they're rock stars, but in reality, people are pointing and laughing at them. These Alabama players that are on the team right now, they have an ego and entitlement based off of Alabama's success from 5 and 10 years ago. Which you shouldn't have an ego about Alabama's recent success the past 15 years because you didn't create it. You just watched it. You got to create your own success, and that's the problem with these Alabama players. I couldn't imagine having an ego, especially after losing to Vanderbilt. It's put up or shut up time in Tuscaloosa. The fans are panicking, the alumni are panicking, the boosters are panicking, everybody's panicking. Will they get it resolved? Probably not. Go back to this. They're an average football team with supreme talent. The only reason they've pulled off the wins they did this year is because of God-given talent. Before we end out this video, I want you to take a look at this comment. I thought it was really interesting. Kalen DeBoer is like a QB that gets sacked 5 to 6 times and gets panicked the rest of the game. He looks clueless and scared on the sidelines when adversity hits, and it permeates? I've never seen that word in my life throughout the team. Some coaches are great at rallying the troops in a tough game, and he just doesn't have the tenacity during the game coaching ability. Okay, that didn't make sense, but I think y'all get what he's trying to say. I watch him closely, and he just looks confused and uncertain. Even his interviews are uncomfortable, and his team sees and hears the same as I do. He will not make it against Alabama trying to get Kiffin before Florida gets him. Wow, what about that? I do like the part where he talked about, and you know I've said this in some of the live reaction videos, whenever that camera pans over to Kalen DeBoer, he looks like a homeless dude standing outside of Walmart. He looks like he doesn't even know what's going on. There's no sense of urgency, no tenacity. Like this comment says, nothing. I just wish he'd show a little more passion because when your team gets a delay a game and false starts and you're not overreacting, it tells the team, oh, well, I guess he doesn't care, so we don't really got to lock in and focus. That may not be your intention as a head coach. I don't think it is. I just think he's trying to be calm, cool, and collected. But that's how the players view it. Whereas if you have a coach who is constantly on your back, like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, you're going to perform better. I don't make the rules. That's just how things are. Many more things I can say. I can promise you this. This will not be the last time we talk about Alabama this week. Let me know your thoughts down below. But